Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with Austin from Ohio. Okay, so earlier I came across this little article here, and when I saw it, it made me incredibly. I was unsettled, you could say, by this, and the title just gives it away. So this was February 5th, yesterday. Supreme Court will decide whether police can enter a home to seize guns without a warrant. Well, that's weird because the Fourth Amendment states that we have a right to be secure in our person's houses, papers, and effects from any unreasonable searches and seizures. But upon probable cause and a warrant, and you could. So, why are they already deliberating and deciding on whether police can enter a home to seize guns without a warrant? That's just blatant treason against us, because this is blatant just disrespect and dismay for the Constitution of the United States of America. This should never even come up. The Supreme Court should never even take this up. The Fourth Amendment right against warrantless searches of a person's home is a pillar of Americans' constitutional liberties. Before a police officer or any government official can enter your home, they must show a judge they have probable cause that they will discover specific evidence of a crime. Yes, that's true. There are some limited exceptions to this right. There is an exigent circumstances exception. If a police officer looks through a home's window and sees a person about to stab another person, the officer can burst through the door and prevent the attack. Of course, he just witnessed a crime. You don't have to gather any evidence and get probable cause for that. You saw it. Anyway, also the emergency aid exception. The officer looked through the same window and saw the resident collapsing from an apparent heart attack. The officer could run through the house and administer aid. Neither of these cases violates the Fourth Amendment, and few would argue that it should be otherwise. Of course, because one, you're helping somebody when they're having a heart attack. No need for that. And the other one, you witnessed somebody about to stab somebody else. You witnessed the crime. You don't have to go gather any evidence. It's right in front of you. You saw it. However, there is a broader cousin to these amendments called the community caretaking exception. The Fourth Amendment doesn't say anything about that, at least whenever I read it. It originally derives from a case in which the police took a gun out of the trunk of an impounded vehicle without first obtaining a warrant. The Supreme Court held that there is a community caretaking exception to the Fourth Amendment's warrant requirement because police perform community caretaking functions totally divorced from the detection, investigation, or acquisition of evidence related to a violation of criminal statute. The court held that police activity in furtherance of these functions does not violate the Fourth Amendment as long as it's executed in a reasonable manner. Well, they could justify anything as reasonable. Their definition is different from my definition, and your definition is different from my definition of reasonable, because what's reasonable to me is not reasonable to you, or vice versa. So you're telling me that they are going to exercise this community caretaking exception, and okay, a lot of people like to leave their guns laying out. They don't have kids or nothing. They just like to leave them laying out. So you walk into somebody's house and they have a gun sitting on the counter or something because they like took it off or something like that. And a cop sees that, and automatically they're trained that if anybody has a weapon, to treat them as hostile, which is wrong. This is the definition of trying to get around the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in order to enter your home to seize guns without a warrant. This should make everybody unsettled, because HR 127. We went over that. Plus this. Plus everything else that's going on in the political environment that we find ourselves in at this point in time. Recipe for disaster, in my opinion. Well, I did have something else to show you because I was recording this earlier. I was going to show you a example of PolitiFact saying that something was false, and then the thing they said was false. I was going to show you that exact thing in real life on video. And it was the one where PolitiFact said that Chris Cox guy from Fox News, whenever he said that Dianne Feinstein said that if she had 51 votes in the Senate and for an outright ban on all guns, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, she would have done it. They said that that is false. And they explained why Dianne Feinstein never said that. But then I had a video, 45-second long video you can find actually on YouTube, where she said those exact words. They do that a lot. Like whenever they said that Bill Gates didn't say that he wanted to immunize 7 billion people, but you can find videos of that, him saying that, and now they're openly publishing that he poured all this money in so he could do that. Let me read you this here. Of course, it has to do with the Great Reset because we have to stay on that. And this is a whole website, so brace yourself, the Great Reset is coming. It was like a scene from an apocalyptic movie, a convoy of army trucks hauling away corpses as the local crematorium was overwhelmed with bodies from the hospital. The news report was particularly dreadful to watch because the affected area was only some 5 hours drive from where we live, and disturbingly the number of deceased for the whole nation was averaging almost 1,000 a day. Nationally, our government declared code red preparedness level, initiating hard lockdown while bracing for the imminent impact. Soon the first cases of the deadly disease began to appear in my hometown. All of this was unfolding mid-March when the entire planet was looking at northern Italy, wondering what the hell was taking place there, and what happens if that thing comes to our part of the world. It didn't take long, and the virus quickly spread to the rest of the globe. And, sorry, I looked away at that for a minute, see if I was still recording. Then we all got to experience firsthand the fear and panic we had previously seen on the TV. Looking back on 2020, it's fair to say that ever since the outbreak of this pandemic, the world hasn't been the same. Oh yeah, it has not been the same at all. What the media keeps referring to as the new normal has slowly but surely settled in. Yes. And they know this incrementally. Imperceptible little fragments of our freedom at a time. That way we never ever knew that they were even being taken. Although many of us still mentally cling to the possibility that things will eventually get back to the old pre-pandemic normal, as time goes by, it's becoming increasingly clear that's not going to happen. Oh yeah, Klaus Schwab told us that in the book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. We went over that in the video I did on the introduction table contents, where he said, quote, "Many of us are pondering when things will return to normal. The short response is never," end quote. So they already admitted it. Now everybody else still thinks, like people every day, I still hear them say, "I can't wait till this is all over and we can just get back to our lives." And I assure you that that is never, ever going to happen. I will bet my life on it. I would bet anything. All the money I would ever make the rest of the time that this system still goes, whatever possessions I have, I will bet everything in my life that it will never return to what we knew before. Just like after 9/11, when the paradigm shifted back then, because it was a whole lot different before then, and now this. What we're going through now should be apparent to everybody, yet it is not. People are still living in fear of something that you barely notice in your real life. Go look at the official numbers. Go look at them. Go look at them when they're broken down. Go look. Mainstream even reported on it. Just go take a look, and then come back here, and then maybe you'll be more willing to listen. But I'm not going to stop doing this. Let's keep reading. On the contrary, I think we're in for some massive societal changes, all precipitated by this pandemic, that will take us further and further from the world we used to know. Boy, is that a fact. Full speed ahead, right into the New World Order. My research into the various economic, societal, and geopolitical issues leads me to believe that we may be entering one of the most turbulent and decisive periods in humankind's history. Yeah. This rough ride could last at least a decade, and with this pandemic, we're just warming up. Other storms are brewing on the horizon, and once they hit us with their full force, we will inhabit a radically different world. Are you kidding me? This was written this year, so let's see. Last at least a decade, so a decade from now would be technically 2031, but 2030 would be the start. Oh, you mean like Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development and the 17 United Nations goals that we've covered in the Agenda 2030 translation video? Also, please, if you haven't watched my old videos or my previous videos, not old because I just started January 22nd, please take the time to watch them. Please, if you are serious about being subscribed to me and you like what I have to say, please do that, because I don't want to leave anybody behind. This is something that is very, very important to all of us. We all have a part to play in order to either halt or slow down what is happening. Because tonight we're going to go to sleep, and tomorrow we're going to wake up, and the United States of America is going to be no more. Dissolved into the conglomerate of the New World Order system. And there will be 10 regions in the United States, but also 10 regions in the world. They're the FEMA regions, so that's what it's going to be. And I believe Ohio is region 4. Not 100% on that, I would have to look, but I believe it's region 4. I know West Virginia and Maryland is region 3. But this guy here, whenever he says other storms are brewing on the horizon, and once they hit us with their full force, we will inhabit a radically different world. Oh yeah, there are going to be other storms. This system, this economic system, is already well outlived its intended lifespan, which originally was from December 1913 is when it was passed, but it was going to expire December 23rd, 2013. But then in 2013, they renewed it. Because at first, I believe personally that they said, oh, all we need is 100 years, we'll have this thing going. Because back then, they did not account for the obstacles that have been in their way a couple times. We would have been here a long time ago if it wasn't for some things. As someone who spends most of his time thinking about the future while actively preparing for what it might hold, I find several societal developments or trends particularly concerning. In this post, I'll explain what they are and I'll make my case when I see them unfolding in the coming years and to what effect. I've named these developments surveillance society, the Second Great Depression, the New World Disorder, social upheaval. Yeah, the New World Disorder. You need chaos before you can establish order. They believe in order out of chaos. The phoenix rising out of the ashes. Surveillance society. Oh yeah, we're all being very heavily surveilled. Most people don't even know they're being watched. But you are. Let's see this. Imagine that one day you have your extended family or friends for dinner. You cheer and laugh, drink and eat, enjoying your little gathering on a Saturday night. Suddenly, there's an aggressive knock on your door. You open the door and it's a policeman in high-tech military gear who come to see what exactly happening in your home. They push past you under the threat of force and strongly encourage everyone to leave. The pleasant social activity has been rudely interrupted and you're all fined for a blatant breach of lockdown restrictions. No socializing with people from other households due to the alleged bioterrorism threat and increased social tensions. The government declared a state of emergency, limiting people's movement and ability to gather in groups. We've already seen that. But we're not going to go any further into this because I just wanted to use this as an example. Well, I might keep it up there so we can read the rest of it later on. They're just examples of like things that are happening and will happen in my belief. So we'll actually keep this here. I wanted to read something else. This is Forbes magazine, September 17th, 2020. One is called COVID and the New World Order, Building a New Human-Centered Economy. Oh, just openly saying it. New World Order. COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in unprecedented changes to our lives and the economy. The enforced switch to virtual work, changes in our travel and consumption patterns, bans on social gatherings have generated seismic shift toward virtual reality or virtual activity. Anything that can be done virtually is now done virtually. Lockdown has us thinking about what the future will bring. A new white paper compiled by a panel of thought leaders and co-edited by Dr. Jane Thomason and Jana Pache has just been released. COVID and the New World Order. Actionable insights from a global technology thought leaders. Is a forward-looking paper seeking to provoke ideas, discussion, and debate. Serves as a call to action remarkably diverse community. Brought together panels of global thought leaders to consider the impact of the current crisis and build on it to produce a view of our world and its challenges and the fresh new thinking and technologies that can enable us to build better as we emerge from the COVID pandemic, says Thomason, an executive director at FinTech TV. The paper covers some of the macro changes. Macro, so taking terminology right out of Klaus Schwab's book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. Forbes are also involved. So healthcare, small, medium-sized businesses, the monetary system, and governance. Many of these changes are driven by our seemingly systematic inability to respond effectively to the crisis in government, business, society. Paper urges rethinking of the economic system, to rethink what we value and to rethink how we live. COVID-19 has exposed the fragility of nation states and indeed the existing world order. Yeah, nation states are fragile. Oh, guys, we got to get rid of nation states. They have so many problems. We all need to just become part of a world community and have no countries. We'll have one big country with one big government. It hasn't brought about anything new. It exposed the weakness, the old, and the weakness of all states, seeing themselves as post-industrial, walking backwards into the future, unable to seemingly affect the future, looking at the rubble of their past. The truth of it is we have a horrific death toll in the UK and crashed economy, says Lord Holmes of Richmond, sitting member of the House of Lords, upper chamber of the UK Parliament. Here's this weird little graph, weird circle graph they have with a hashtag. Hashtag New World Order. C-19 has, from some perspectives, arguably precipitated the deterioration of the global governance system, and supply chains accelerated a worrying trend towards state isolationism. We have seen the U.S.-China political and economic divide uncomfortably exposed, and the new race for central bank digital currencies has accelerated this, partly spurred by economic sovereignty concerns. The white paper's big message is now is the time to be radical in our thinking about how to innovate society for the greater betterment of our citizens and use new technologies we have at our disposal to achieve this innovation. And new technologies include the blockchain, decentralized applications, artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital assets, surveillance technology, big data. It is a once-in-a-generation call to create new global collaborations driven by average citizens to put the people back at the center of society and the economy in the free world. Yeah. Interesting choice of words. Put we the people back in the center of what? Blockchain, decentralized applications, artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital assets, surveillance technology, and big data? And there is no free world with this technology. There's no free world now. Look around. Open your eyes. When was the last time you felt safe around a police officer? When was the last time you actually honestly believed that the government had your best interest at heart? I thought I had something else here too. No, not that. I thought I had something. Oh man, I had this transcript of something that Bill Gates said. Oh well, I'll get it in the next one. No, but back to what we were talking to. When is the last time that you were happy about going to do something? Something even as simple as like going to the DMV. And if you say, oh yeah, I don't mind that. So you're okay with going to ask permission to drive your property, which is your car, on our shared property, which are the roads that we all put money into, supposedly. So your property on our shared property, but you have to get certain identification for your property, and you have to pay certain fees and get a certain little card and go through all these driving tests and stuff like that, which aren't really the bad thing, the driving tests, because people should learn how to drive, of course, but everything else. You should just be able to get in your car, no license plates, and just drive. Because this is your property on our shared property. Go look at pictures and videos from when cars first came out. People were just buying them, jumping in, and driving. Driving in places that are crazy. Off the road, over hills and stuff. Not a care in the world. And everybody was fine. And guess what? If all the signs and stuff weren't there, most people would still, by nature, follow the rules of the road. You're always going to have that one idiot out there, of course. That's going to happen no matter what. It happens now. But it's just everything else. And now with this digital transformation, also the transhumanism, we read a couple articles about that in the video before last, I believe. Yeah, I think it was. Video before last. You are going to be part of all of that technology. You yourself, as a human being. Can't say too much because this video will get taken down, but you know what I mean. I've showed you countless examples of that already. And again, please go and watch my old videos, the ones that I did leading up to now. Because this stuff here, this kind of thing, and the reset, and the V's, the restrictions, the lockdowns, people getting arrested for being outside or being with more than 3 or 4 people, going to jail, people losing their homes because of the crisis, people are still out of work. You have to cover your face every time you go in anywhere. Well, most people. It's going so fast right now that I can't. Oh man, there's always so much going on. And I thought it was crazy I thought it was insane back during the Obama years, early Obama years. I thought it was crazy. But this is just... It's already 2021. And this is apparently the year of the Great Reset, according to the people in Davos. We're really going to have to pull up our britches, or whatever people used to say. We're going to have to try to put a stopper to slow this thing down a little bit, because we're all literally just lost in the sauce. People are drowning in information, but they're starving for knowledge. Most people, they know something's not right, but they just don't know what it is. And they can't put their finger on it. And that's because, yes, everybody can feel that something is wrong. Just like right now, everybody can feel that something big is coming. Something big. Big, big, big. And most people just walk around and they ignore everything. They don't care about themselves. They don't care what happens in the country because it's not affecting them. Until it does affect you, is what the truth is. People are calling and turning people in for having gatherings, small gatherings, with your family, which is something many people still do, and they're fine. It's like what we were all saying back when this thing first started. You don't have to shut down the entire world, lock everything down, threaten people with jail, take their jobs and all this for any kind of sickness, really. Especially one with such high surviving rates. But guess what? What the television says is the truth, according to most people. Not me. I read this stuff and I'm like, we are in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not unto temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.